Thank you very much. Only so much world history you can learn from civilization. So, please. I once read that the best way to give a presentation is to tell a story. So this story is called Mobile and Me. Me and Mobile. Mobile and me.
Someone help me.
It starts about 30 years ago. It starts about 30 years ago at Microprose Software, where I first started designing computer games. It's a wonderful place. Just mentioned the game Civilization. Came out in 1991. Shortly after that game came out, I moved to Firaxis Games in 1995, and we've been making games ever since at Firaxis. One of the questions is why are we in Baltimore? And there's some great things about the Baltimore area. I just want to kind of join the plugging of Baltimore here. The advantages that we find are the access to some incredible talent. There's some great institutions here, Micah, the universities. We're also not in kind of a dog-eat-dog competition with other companies here in terms of gaming and things like that. People are not kind of constantly looking to jump to the next wonderful opportunity. There are incredible, wonderful opportunities here, but we've been able to establish kind of a reputation or a genre or a style of gaming, and people who want to work on those kind of games come to Firaxis and stay for a while. And that's a great thing to have a stable workforce and watch people grow and give them opportunities to learn and to excel. And that's kind of why we're here in Baltimore. One of the examples of that is the number of kind of companies that have evolved out of the original Microprose and now Firaxis. There are 7 or 8 vibrant gaming companies in the Hunt Valley area and around the Baltimore area. Many of them kind of based on talent that originally started at Firaxis or Microprose and then decided for some reason to move on to another company. A while ago, about a year and a half ago, I decided I wanted to make a mobile game. The reasons being that there was an opportunity to work with a smaller team, perhaps a shorter development time. I've been working on AAA titles, which are fun, but they take a long time. And what really kind of made mobile interesting to me was the ratio of gameplay to all the other stuff. In a AAA game, there's a bit of gameplay and lots of other stuff. The other stuff is important: sound, graphics, animation, technology, networking, all that kind of stuff is important. But in a mobile title, I felt the opportunity was there to do a lot of gameplay and not quite so much of that other stuff. And I love gameplay. I love designing games and programming games. And that was the opportunity I saw there. Smaller budgets lead to the opportunity for innovation. In other words, a large publisher is not going to spend a ton of money on something that is shaky or risky or new or terribly innovative. With a smaller budget, we can kind of get away with some more risky ideas, some newer ideas that might not be funded. So those were kind of the reasons that mobile was interesting to me. We realized that there were some challenges in the mobile space. Discoverability. This is a really, I was terribly amused by this cartoon. It might look as if I'm in a dead-end job, but I'm developing an app in my spare time. Here's a lottery ticket. I just doubled your odds of success. In fact, I bought 2 for myself, so I don't need to make an app. So, as has been stated a number of times, there are a lot of apps out there. Discoverability is an issue. We looked at that challenge and said, hey, we're Firaxis. We're doggone it, people ought to be looking for us. We don't need to be looking for them. We were wrong about that, but anyway. The second challenge was monetization. It's been spoken to a number of times here. You can download a lot of apps without making a lot of money. Again, our response is, if we give the player value, they'll be willing to pay for that. That was our theory. So we brought out a game, we started working on it a year ago in July, and it came out this past May. It was a game called Ace Patrol. It was for the iOS platforms, iPhone and iPad. And it was a World War I air combat turn-based strategy game. Our thinking was, let's do something in the strategy genre. We're known for that. You know, we want, I like those kind of games. I love to design those kind of games. Turn-based strategy was kind of a shocker as far as flight simulation. But we're known for turn-based strategy, obviously, with Civilization. But we felt that the kind of, the players that we'd be going after and the types of play that mobile lends itself to is kind of something you can stop and start whenever you choose. Turn-based really lends itself to that. It also kind of allowed us to take a really new approach to flight simulation and air combat simulation. It's for the iPad, and it was free. So when I was young, my mom told me there's no such thing as a free lunch. I think that kind of wisdom is going to be replaced for our generation by there's no such thing as a free app. It's a much more relevant learning experience. So this is kind of what we learned going through this process. So Ace Patrol's been out for about 5 or 6 months now. We went through the process of designing, building, submitting it to the App Store, kind of all the stuff that goes along with making a game. What kind of surprised me was the amount of horsepower that's available in these mobile platforms. I kind of thought we need to back off in terms of technologically what we could do. And I was actually surprised to find that we could bring to life complete 3D worlds, animation, zillions of objects moving around, total camera control, everything that we kind of have gotten used to on the PC. These tools are also available on these mobile devices. Who knew? So we ran pretty quickly into the cosmic divide of freemium versus premium. Our initial thought was to make this a premium product. That's kind of what we're used to in terms of PC and console, where we're at we give you a game, you give us money. Seemed like a fair deal. When we looked at the charts of what games were making money, they were all free. The top 10 games on the charts were all free. Someone in their infinite wisdom decided this should be a free game. So we ended up going freemium for this game. Just a little note, we also just recently brought out this game on Steam as a premium title. So our thinking is evolving, I think, on that matter. This is probably not news, but people who play games on mobile devices are playing with kind of a different attention span and a different rhythm of play. And that's really why we decided to do a turn-based game, but it has some ramifications pretty deep into gameplay. There's a lot of games out there in the App Store and other places, and I think that's been mentioned a couple times. The reason I think there are a lot of games out there, I don't think anybody's really talked too much about this, is that there are some amazing game development tools available. You can put together something that looks a lot like a game in a weekend. I think the other thing that's out there is the expectations for these games are fairly low. That what passes for a game these days on iOS and other places is not real demanding. And these two things together, I think, mean there's a lot of games out there. I'm not sure that's a good trend for the industry in the long term. I mean, I was around for the big crash of 1987 or whatever. I think there's a novelty to games on mobile platforms that is kind of driving it in a lot of ways, but we've got to start delivering the quality, otherwise it's going to kind of catch up with us. There are some interesting price value expectations in mobile. Free is the new free. I think there's just a sense that there's a game to be played in getting as much as you can out of a product before you actually have to start playing it. There's actually a game within a game when you play a game. And that was kind of something I wasn't really prepared for. What happens is you, as a game designer, which I claim is a noble profession, you have to kind of become a snake oil salesperson. You have to kind of get in the frame of mind of how do I convince my player to do something they don't really want to do, which is give me money. That's not a comfortable place to be as a game designer. And I think that designing games that way troubles me, and I don't believe it's going to be a big part of the future. I think we're in the spot right now. As I said, the top 10 games on the chart were free games, and they had found a way to convince you to give them money. And hopefully that was with quality and creativity. But I think there's a lot of energy in the game design process invested in trying to squeeze money out of the player that could go into good game design. And I will say that's not a happy place for our industry. There's really not a strong community of review and evaluation and things like that. You know, you either give something 5 stars or 1 star. What we don't have in this space is a way to get really good information about games. I think that'll grow over time as it did in the PC industry, but I think that's a characteristic of this industry. Phone versus tablet. We talk about universal apps, but from a design point of view, there's a huge difference between a tablet, a pad, and a phone in terms of what you can do with gameplay. And so I think that there's a decision to be made. Do you compromise your game design to make it work on a phone, or do you allow it to blossom to its full awesomeness on a tablet? That's a tough decision to make. It's an economic decision. It's something that we don't have to face in other platforms. And the previous presentation talked about how the bigger the screen is, the cooler the experience is. And so as a designer or thinking about games, you need to kind of consider, are you going to make a tablet game or a phone game or try to make it work in both worlds? There's also the fragmentation of the mobile market between iOS, Android, and Windows. Our product came out on iOS. I made a kind of casual offhand comment when I was asked, why didn't you do it for Android? I said, well, I had an iPad, so I wanted to play it, so I made it for iOS. Boy, did I get a lot of hate mail from the Android people there. Android is the way to go, don't you understand? It's the only platform that's worth anything. There's a lot of emotion invested, and you kind of have to, it's another decision to just kind of think about going into there. Now there's Windows 8, and there's 8.1 apparently, because 8 didn't work. My last slide, my last point. I went into this process thinking we could take a lot of what we knew about making games from the PC and console and apply it to mobile. I now believe that's a lot less of that is true. I think we really need to think in many kind of brand new ways about gaming on mobile. Take advantage of some of these unique things about mobile platforms. The location information that we have. The fact that it's a phone. The fact that it's a camera. The fact that it's got a gyroscope in it. The fact that we can look at your music, see what kind of music you like, see who you know. These are tools that potentially could be used for gaming. Whenever the technology has changed, it's taken a while for us to realize what we could do with that new stuff to make games better. And I think we're not really quite there yet. We're now making games based on well established ideas. But this platform has some disadvantages which I've kind of run into, but it has some advantages too in terms of technology. And by using those to make games, I think we can make unique, cool games that are mobile mobile awesome as opposed to maybe trying to recycle some of our other ideas. So that's mobile and me. That's my story. Applies only to me. But I've been through making the game, shipping it, releasing it, designing it, and it's been a very interesting experience. And I try to give you a few of the kind of things that struck me as I went through that. So thank you very much.